Arculus Rex here, and I'm coming at you with a new type of video. We're talking about pickups, video game pickups, some new games I've added to my collection, and without further ado, let's jump into it. First up, we have Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Now, this is a survival horror game that came out in 2002. This was regarded as one of the best survival horror games at the time. It's really surprising this never got a sequel. The back of the cover says, "Is it real or is it just in your head? Prepare for an epic psychological thriller where nothing is as it seems as you delve deeper into the dark designs of an ancient evil you have to fight to save your character's sanity and your own." Now, in this game, you play as several different characters spanning many different time eras and different locations throughout the world. This is a third-person game, and it has this really interesting spell combination thing from what I understand. I've never played the game myself, but I've heard really good things about this game, so I'm really looking forward to jumping into this one and checking it out. And next up, we have Death Stranding. Now, I know this is retro game pickups, but we're going to cover all video games because it doesn't matter if it's old or it's new. There's a lot of love out there for video games, and I think this one, Death Stranding, is a bit of a mixed bag. When it came out, this was Kojima's first post-Metal Gear Solid game. People were expecting really high things, and I think they were expecting something very different from what appeared to be essentially a walking simulator. It's a post-apocalyptic United States, and you're delivering packages from what I understand and trying to reconnect humanity. That's about all I know of this, and that's about all I need to know. I'm really excited to jump into this because I'm a huge Kojima fan. Almost anything he does is interesting to me. I was a huge Metal Gear fan, so for me, this is a no-brainer. I picked this one up, and I can't wait to play it. And next up, we have an absolute classic, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. So the cool thing about this one was it removed the time limit. So you could kind of move around the open world doing quests as you please. Now, this laid the groundwork for what would essentially become the Underground series, and some people think that that is the ultimate sort of version of Tony Hawk. That's my opinion as well. I know some people prefer 2 and 3 a lot more, but anytime I can get my hands on a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, I love to relive the nostalgia, the music. It's such a great time. I'm very happy I've got this one. And next up, we have Midnight Club 3. Dub Edition Remix. Now, I've never played this one. I have played the first one. I found it quite challenging at the time, but I really did enjoy it. And this is sort of near that peak of when the tuner sort of craze was going on and everybody was playing all these sorts of games. So this is an open world racing game by Rockstar. Come on, Rockstar. Where are you at? Can you do more than 1 or 2 games every 10 years? That would be great. I miss those days, but I'm really excited to check this one out. But before I do, I gotta play number 2 first. And next up, we have Need for Speed Underground 2. This was the peak of the tuner era. This was 2004. This was, in my opinion, the peak of an arcade sort of racing game, and you could customize your vehicles, you could paint, you could do all these races, and it was such a interesting world that they were creating. Need for Speed Underground 2 is the perfect blend of nostalgic arcade racing, and the music was unbelievable. You know, it feels like there's maybe 1 or 2 good Need for Speed games in my opinion after this one. I was a huge fan of Most Wanted as well, but this right here, I think for a lot of people, is where the series peaked, and I can't say I disagree with them. And next up, we have Dragon Quest VIII Journey of the Cursed King. This is the first ever turn-based JRPG I had ever played, and wow, what an experience. This was, I probably put 110, 120 hours into this. You play as a silent protagonist. It's your classical, someone's, you know, an evil guy's stolen a scepter, you gotta save the princess, but the twist on this that's pretty cool is you gotta save the king as well, and the king rides along with you throughout your entire journey. And the king has been transformed into this little green guy, so he's frustrated, he wants to save his daughter, all these sorts of things. It's a really great story, and you'll meet some amazing people along the way, and if you know Jessica, then you know that this is a great game. All right, next up we have Battalion Wars for the Nintendo Gamecube. Now, this is in the Advanced Wars series, and this one is like a third-person real-time tactics game. I've never played one myself, but you take control of infantry, armored units, tanks, all sorts of things like that, aircraft, and you are vying for power. There's 5 nations spread across large continents, and if this is anything like Command and Conquer, I'm really gonna enjoy this. Even if it's not exactly that, this game has like a cartoonish sort of playful look on the whole real-time strategy and war conflict. So I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. And next up is Shadow Man 2, The Second Coming. There was a Shadow Man 1 on Nintendo 64 that I played very briefly. I was too young to really understand what was going on. It might have been on PlayStation as well, so don't get at me if I'm wrong. But this one, I played for about 15 minutes to see what was going on, and it is gruesome. This is like, you see a guy lose his head within the first few minutes of this game. So this is really setting a really dark tone, but essentially you're undead and I believe you're in hell and you have to do things to make it back to the real world, and you've got some sort of mission that you're going back for. So this is a very dark game that I don't think it was received super well because I don't think it ever got a third, but I am interested to try this one out, and this was a pretty affordable one to grab, so I was happy I picked this one up. All right, next up. This is a series I've never touched before, but I know is really popular, so I wanted to start grabbing these when I see them, and that is Devil May Cry 2. Let's get the glare off that. Devil May Cry 2. Now, this is another one I played for about 15-20 minutes, and it took me a second to even figure out how to get through the first door in this game, but this reminded me of Blade. As soon as the action kicked in, the music pumped up, and you were fighting in all these sort of exotic fighting styles, this really did feel like I was playing as Blade. And now, don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot more to this that I don't understand in the series, but I was playing as a female, and I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to play as is it Dante? Is it Dante? I can't remember his name. Yeah, Dante. It's Dante. I thought I'd be playing as Dante in this one, but it looks like there might be multiple playable characters according to the back of the game. So this is an interesting one for me to try out. Next one is another series I've heard incredible things about. Some people would even call it their favorite shooting series. This one is Time Splitters Future Perfect. I know very little about this game other than the fact that it takes place in the future. This was released in 2005. This is the last one in the series. They didn't have another one after this, and it blows me away because critically, this was incredibly well received. Like, I'm talking 8s and 9s out of 10, and this ended up having a re-release on the PlayStation 4 and 5 as like a classic collection. I really wanted to play it on the original hardware, so I've got Time Splitters Future Perfect, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this series has to offer and seeing what all the hype is about. And another one here we got is The Puppeteer on the PlayStation 3. This was released in 2013, and you play as a puppet. And it looks like this is a sort of side-scrolling platformer, and I believe you have a magical pair of scissors. I think a lot of people would consider this a bit of a hidden gem, but not so much anymore. Originally, I never heard anything about it. I mean, you look at the cover and you think a puppet game is probably not going to be that interesting, but again, this was incredibly well received across most critics, and that's insane. So to go back and play a game that's been received so well seems like an absolute no-brainer. And this next one, this is going to be a controversial thing for me to say, but the next game I have here is Rise Son of Rome, and I actually think this is an incredibly well done game. It works on like a combat flow system rather than like a button mashing thing. If you can time your attacks well as like facing your character towards different enemies while you're attacking, you can really get some really freaking cool combos going and kills going. And this also had an incredible multiplayer, like online, where you would go into a coliseum, but you wouldn't face to face your foe. You'd face swarms of barbarian enemies instead. And in the later stages, not super late, but like once it started to get a little bit more challenging, they would throw in obstacles for you to climb over, for you to like jump over, all these sorts of different things, as well as all the barbarians that you were fighting. In the first year of the Xbox One, this was probably my favorite game. And I still think This is a really good game. So if you haven't played it yet and you want to play something that looks really good for the time, sure, it's not going to blow you away with what it's trying to do with the story or the mechanics or anything like that, but this is a solid game, and you can get this for probably $5 or less now, maybe $10 or less. So if you haven't played it, jump in at that price. That's insane. And next up, we have Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. This is like one of those alternate reality sort of things where it takes place in a 1946 that never existed. I love it when games and movies and TV shows sort of take a deep dive down an alternative history like this. And I don't know much about this game. I know it's a first-person shooter. I know the Wolfenstein series has been around for a long time. That's about all I need to know to be interested in playing this. I don't know if this was critically well received or not, but sometimes if you get a 6 or a 7 out of 10 first-person shooter and you just cruise through it, that's a pretty good experience, and this was a pretty good price, so I grabbed it. Next up, we have one of the Xbox 360 launch titles in Cameo, Elements of Power. Now, I never got very far into this game when it first came out, but I do remember you could switch into a bunch of different animals and complete some various platforming or tasks around the area. I remember rolling around in some like creature in a ball, and I remember some vast, lush forest looking places as well. This was a Rare game, and this was supposed to be Rare's big Microsoft debut. I don't think it went over as well as they wanted, but I like revisiting some of these old like day ones on a console to see what they were trying to figure out back then, and at the very least maybe I can get some easy achievements in this game. And we all know what happened to Rare not long after this. They did do an amazing game in Viva Pinata, but I mean, let me know if they did anything else after that, because I'm really struggling and I miss the Rare of old, so if they can make a comeback, I would love that. And this next one is the second in a series that has gone on to become one of the biggest series in all of gaming. What started out as essentially just an unbelievably challenging game that was only for a very specific type of player has turned into the Dark Souls series, obviously starting as Demon Souls and moving on now to Elden Ring and Bloodborne and all these other titles. I've never played a FromSoft game that's a Souls-like. I don't even know if I've played a FromSoft game. So for me, grabbing the Dark Souls series is an absolute like must, because everybody's played them, and if I haven't played them, I feel like I'm missing out on some video game history. I'm excited to try this, but I'll probably start with Demon Souls first to see sort of where it all began. I haven't picked it up yet, but stay tuned in one of the future videos, maybe I will. And this next one is one of the first video game series that I really got hooked on as a kid, playing Mortal Kombat 2 on my Sega Game Gear, and playing Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 on the Genesis was also an incredibly amazing time for my childhood. We went on to play Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the Nintendo 64, and sort of fell away from Mortal Kombat a little bit. I can't remember, there was one on the Xbox I played quite a bit, had a really good story mode in it. Throw it down in the comments if you know which one it is. It's either Deception or Armageddon. Honestly, may even be both, but one of them had a story mode and I really enjoyed doing that. So I picked this one up here, and this is Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. This takes place after Mortal Kombat 2, and honestly, Liu Kang and Kung Lao are two of my favorite characters in the series. The first time I ever beat Mortal Kombat 2 was actually with Liu Kang, so I do have a little bit of a soft spot there for him. And this is a co-op game as well, so I can imagine this would be a really great co-op experience playing through this. This is a story campaign, essentially. I believe it does also have like your traditional 1v1 sort of fighting styles. It might even have that ladder that you could do, or the mountain that you could climb, but this is one I need to go back to. And last but not least, I've never played this game. I had a GameCube briefly during this time, but this was one I didn't even know existed. But we have Legend of Zelda 4 Sword Adventures. Now the thing with this one is, This could be one of the most expensive co-op games you could play. If you want to get 4 Game Boy Advances and the link cables and all the things that are required to play this as a 4-player co-op, I'm pretty sure you could be pushing $600, $700, $800 to do that. But this one here can be played. It can be played solo as well, and that's probably how I'm going to experience this myself. I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan. I think I've only actually beat one of them, but I've always enjoyed spending time in that world, and I need to deepen my understanding of the lore, and this is a great one to add to the collection. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, that's insanely expensive. I was very fortunate when I picked this one up that we had some old electronics that we traded in, so I was able to grab this one for almost nothing. And if you have the ability to do that, I highly recommend it. We just had stuff lying around, and we grabbed a pile of things and we took them in, and we just said, hey, what will you give us for those? And I saw this and it was very close, so I was like, yep, I'm gonna pick that up. And that's one of those getting close to a holy grail for the GameCube. Maybe not Pokemon Holy Grail, but Legend of Zelda 4 Sword Adventures has been acquired. I want to do more of these style of videos in the future. I do a lot of pickups and I enjoy the hunt and all that sort of stuff, so stay tuned. I'm gonna have some more coming to you. This was 17 games. You know, is there one of these games that's just like near and dear to your heart? Is there one of these games that is not as good as everybody says? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments, you know? And if you want to see more of these videos, hit the like button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. This isn't the style of video I'm going to do often, but I would like to do it every 2-3 months if I can sort of maintain collecting in that way. But we'll see how everything goes. But for now, I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and I will catch you next time.